The champagne cork popped like a gunshot in the crowded frat house basement, and I locked eyes with Alexander across the room, his smirk daring me to back down. $200,000 says you can't make me gay, he slurred, slamming his beer down on the sticky poker table, the stack of crumpled 20s and IOUs scattering like confetti from hell. My heart slammed against my ribs, not from fear, but from the electric thrill of finally calling his bluff after 2 years of his bullshit homophobic jabs, the kind that cut deeper than any knife. I'm Benjamin Hayes, 24, a broke-ass graphic designer scraping by in a shoebox apartment in Brooklyn, sharing walls with Alexander Xander Hale, the golden boy from some uppity Connecticut suburb who'd stormed into NYU like he owned the joint. He was straight as a ruler, or so he preached, with his all-American jawline, sun-bleached blonde hair that fell just right over those piercing blue eyes, and a body honed from endless pickup basketball games in the park. Me? I was the queer kid from rural Ohio who'd fled the Bible Belt beatings and landed here, out and proud, but always one snide comment away from snapping. We'd been roommates since freshman year, thrown together by housing lottery cruelty, and for 2 years, it was civil war. His endless parade of sorority girls giggling through our thin walls, my grinder hookups that he'd mock over morning coffee with lines like, "Hope you wrapped it up. Benny boy, don't want you catching the gay. But tonight, at Sigma Chi's end-of-semester rager, the universe handed me a loaded gun." We'd been playing high-stakes poker, well, high for us starving students, fueled by cheap whiskey and egos bigger than the city skyline. Xander was up big, his stack towering, crowing about how he'd use his winnings to fund a summer in the Hamptons with whatever bikini model caught his eye. Then someone, fucking Chad, that douchebag lacrosse bro, cracked a joke about my latest date, some theater kid named Theo who'd ghosted me after one too many deep talks about Sondheim. "Ben's turning him all straight with that emo bullshit," Chad snorted, and the room erupted. Xander leaned in, his breath hot with booze, and whispered loud enough for the table to hear, "Nah, he's the one who needs fixing. Bet you $100 he'd try to convert me if he could." Laughter rippled, but I saw the flicker in his eyes. Challenge, maybe insecurity. He'd always lorded his straightness over me like a badge, but there were cracks. The way he'd linger too long watching queer films we binged on Netflix, claiming it was for the plot, or how he'd blush when I teased him about his metro grooming routine. I called his bluff then and there. "Make it 200 grand, asshole. Winner takes all my savings against your trust fund scraps. I'll turn you if you let me try." The room went dead silent, then exploded. Xander's face drained of color, but that smirk crept back, cocky as ever. "You're on, Hayes. But rules. No tricks. No drugs. Just you and your fairy dust. 1 semester. Lose, and you move out permanently." I shook on it, my palm slick against his calloused one, feeling the pulse of something dangerous thrumming between us. What the hell was I thinking? I didn't have 200 grand. Hell, my bank account hovered at 4 figures on a good month. But pride's a motherfucker, and in that moment, with the bass thumping through the floorboards and the scent of sweat and spilled beer thick in the air, I didn't care. This wasn't about money. It was about dismantling the walls he'd built around himself, the ones that kept him from seeing me, really seeing me. We stumbled home at 3 a.m., the subway rattling like my nerves, Xander propping against my shoulder, muttering about how I'd regret it. Our apartment was a 5th-floor walk-up in Bushwick, graffiti-tagged stoop and all, the kind of place where roaches hosted rent parties. I unlocked the door, the familiar creak echoing, and he collapsed onto the sagging couch, kicking off his sneakers. So, what's step one? Casanova? Gonna braid my hair and play show tunes. His voice was slurry, but his eyes, God, those eyes held mine a beat too long. I grabbed 2 waters from the fridge, tossing him one, and sat on the coffee table across from him, our knees almost brushing. Step 1, honesty. Why'd you take the bet, Xander? You could have laughed it off. He chugged, Adam's apple bobbing, then wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. Bored. And fuck, maybe to prove a point. That it's not that easy. That I'm not. He trailed off, staring at the faded poster of the Brooklyn Bridge on the wall. The one I'd tacked up to remind myself this city was my escape. Not what? I pressed, leaning in. The air between us crackled, heavy with unspoken shit. He met my gaze, something raw flashing there, vulnerability, desire, not, couldn't be. Not like you, he said finally, voice low. Weak, the word landed like a slap, but I swallowed it. This was the game now. I play it slow, peel back his layers until he saw the man behind the labels. Little did I know, by morning, the first crack would show. Sunlight sliced through the blinds like Judgment Day, and I woke to the smell of burning toast. Xander was in the kitchenette, shirtless in his gray sweats, flipping pancakes with a spatula like he hadn't dropped a homophobic nuke last night. His back muscles flexed under tan skin, a faint scar from some childhood wipeout snaking across his shoulder blade. I patted over, rubbing sleep from my eyes, and he slid a plate my way without a word. Truce, he mumbled, not looking up. Truce, I echoed, but inside, resolve hardened. Operation Turn Xander Gay, code name, Trojan Heart, was underway. Step 2, proximity. I started small. That week, as midterms loomed, I suggested study sessions in the living room instead of holing up in our rooms. We'd sprawl on the floor with laptops and take-out Thai, my foot accidentally on purpose grazing his calf under the table. He'd jerk away at first, muttering fag move, but by day 3, he didn't. Progress. NYU's campus buzzed with autumn crispness, leaves crunching underfoot as we trudged to our shared psych elective. Professor Langford was a silver fox with a penchant for Freudian slips, and her lectures on repression hit like personal ads. One afternoon, as she dissected latent homosexuality in Victorian lit, Xander shifted beside me, his thigh pressing against mine in the packed lecture hall. I didn't move. Neither did he. After class, over coffee at the campus cafe, my treat, always, he vented about his ex, Brittany, the cheerleader who dumped him for needing space. Bitches. Man. Always complicating shit. I nodded, but inside, ached. He deserved better than performative straight boy rage. That night, back home, the bet loomed like a ghost. He cracked open a beer, pacing the living room. This is stupid. Then, call it off. I'll spot you the rent for a month. His voice cracked, and for the first time, I saw fear, not disgust, but real, bone-deep fear. Of what? Losing control? Or finding out he liked it? I stood, closing the distance, my hand on his arm. Skin on skin, electric. Too late, golden boy. But hey, if it's too much, walk away. He didn't. Instead, he pulled me into a bro hug, too tight, Too long, his chin resting on my shoulder. You're a pain in my ass. Hayes, he whispered, breath warm against my neck. I pulled back, heart hammering. Yeah, well, that's the idea. We laughed, but it was forced, the air thick with what's next tension. As he showered, door cracked, steam curling out, I fought the urge to peek. This wasn't about conquest, it was about connection. Or so I told myself. By week's end, the shifts were subtle but seismic. He'd borrow my hoodies, claiming his laundry was backed up, and they'd hang loose on his frame, smelling like my cologne when he gave them back. We'd marathon old-school action flicks, his head lolling onto my shoulder during the slow parts. And the jabs? Fading. Once, when Chad texted him a meme about no homo, Xander replied with a middle finger emoji and showed it to me, grinning. Fuck that noise, but doubt gnawed at me. Was this real, or just the bet's gravity pulling us in? Late one night, as rain pelted the window, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling cracks mapping out like veins. Xander's snores filtered through the wall, soft, vulnerable. I wanted him, yeah, but more than that, I wanted him free. From the hate he'd internalized, the armor he'd forged in some WASPY high school locker room. Little did I know, the real war was just beginning. Halloween hit Brooklyn like a fever dream, jack-o'-lanterns flickering on every stoop, the air crisp with weed smoke and caramel apples from street vendors hawking their wares. Xander and I hit the streets, him in a half-assed pirate getup, eye patch, striped shirt unbuttoned to his navel, me channeling a brooding vampire with fake blood trickling down my neck. You look like a hot topic reject, he teased, slinging an arm around my shoulders as we wove through the throng on Bedford Avenue, bodies pressing close in the costumed chaos. Jealous of the fangs? I shot back, nipping at his earlobe playfully. He shoved me, laughing, but his hand lingered on my waist a second too long, steadying me against a group of stumbling witches. The contact sent sparks up my spine, and I wondered if he felt it too, the slow burn building since that handshake in the basement. We'd been dancing around it for weeks now, shared glances over breakfast, inside jokes that left us breathless. The way he'd text me memes at 2 a.m. instead of scrolling alone. The party was at some warehouse in Williamsburg, thumping bass vibrating the industrial beams overhead, fairy lights strung like drunken stars. We pounded shots of something that tasted like regret, and soon Xander was dragging me onto the makeshift dance floor, bodies grinding in the strobe-lit haze. Come on, vamp boy, show me your moves, he yelled over the EDM drop, his hips swaying with that effortless jock grace. I pressed against him, hands on his chest, feeling his heart race under the thin fabric. He didn't pull away. Instead, his fingers dug into my hips, guiding me, our breaths sinking as sweat beaded on his brow. In that moment, with the world blurring into neon streaks, felt real. Not the bet, not some twisted power play, just us, two guys lost in the rhythm, the possibility. But then his phone buzzed, Brittany's name flashing like a warning siren. He glanced at it, face hardening, and excused himself to the corner. I watched from afar as he typed furiously, jaw clenched. When he returned, the spark had dimmed. Ex-drama, he muttered, downing another shot. Wants to talk, as if. We stumbled home at dawn, the city waking with us, honking taxis, the distant wail of sirens. Xander collapsed on the couch, pirate hat askew, and I fetched him aspirin and water, playing nurse like it was routine. "You're too good to me, Ben," he slurred, eyes glassy. "Why?" I sat beside him, our thighs touching, the room spinning softly. "Because under all that macho crap, you're worth it." He stared, something shifting in his expression. Gratitude? Hunger? Then he leaned in, lips brushing my cheek in what could have been a thank you kiss or a drunken slip. "Don't get ideas," he whispered, but his voice lacked conviction. The next morning, hungover and raw, we avoided it. But the seed was planted. Therapy sessions disguised as bro talks ramped up. Me spilling about my first crush, a farm boy back in Ohio who'd called me a freak after one awkward fumble. Him admitting his dad's cold silences after catching him with a male tutor in high school. Studying too close. Repression, Langford would say. And Xander was cracking wide open. November brought Thanksgiving chill, the kind that seeped into your bones and made you crave warmth. My family's invite never came. Ohio hazes didn't do fancy city life, especially not with their prodigal queer son, so Xander insisted we do our own thing. Turkey and Netflix. Motherfucker. My treat. He shopped like a man possessed, hauling back a bird bigger than our oven. Cranberry sauce, and pie from that hole-in-the-wall bakery on Knickerbocker. We cooked side by side, elbows bumping, flour dusting his nose as he mashed potatoes with unnecessary vigor. Dinner was candlelit, my doing, for the aesthetic, and we toasted with boxed wine, forks clinking against mismatched plates. "To bets we might lose," he said, eyes locking on mine. The meal stretched lazy, stories flowing. His summers sailing off Nantucket, the pressure of being the perfect son, my escape to art school, sketching nudes in secret to spite the church youth group. Laughter turned to quiet, his foot hooking around my ankle under the table. "Ben, this bet. It's messing with my head." His voice was soft, vulnerable, the pirate swagger gone. I set down my fork. "Good. That's the point. Question everything, Xander. Especially the shit they told you makes you a man." He swallowed hard, then reached across, fingers tracing mine. Electric. Tentative. "What if I like questioning it?" The air thickened, charged. I leaned in, heart thundering, and our lips met, soft at first, exploratory, then deepening as he sighed into it, hand cupping my jaw. Fireworks. Home. But reality crashed in Monday morning. Chad cornered us in the quad, smirking. "Heard about your little wager. Hail." Benny finally sealed the deal. Xander froze, color draining, then shoved him hard. "Fuck off, asshole." But the damage was done. Whispers spread like wildfire across campus. Texts blowing up our group chat with eggplant emojis and no homo memes. Xander retreated, slamming his bedroom door for days, emerging only for classes, eyes shadowed. I gave him space, but guilt gnawed. Was I pushing too hard? Then, a olive branch. A note slipped under my door. Rooftop. 10 p.m. Bring beer. The building's roof was our secret spot. Tar paper expanse overlooking the skyline, where we'd vent about life pre-bet. He was there when I climbed up, bundled in my hoodie, toucans sweating in his grip. "Sorry," he said simply, handing me one. We sat shoulder to shoulder, legs dangling over the edge, the city humming below. "It's not just the bet anymore," he admitted after a swig. "That kiss felt right." Scary as fuck. But right. Relief flooded me. Then let's ditch the money. Just us. He nodded, but hesitation lingered. Brittany's coming to town. Wants to patch things. Thinks I'm spiraling. Jealousy twisted sharp. But I played cool. Your call. She arrived Friday. All blonde perfection and designer boots. Sweeping into our apartment like she owned it. I played host. Biting back bile as they cozied on the couch. Her laughter grating. But cracks showed, his smiles forced. Touches obligatory. That night, as I pretended to sleep, I heard them argue, her accusing him of going soft, him snapping back about needing space. The door slammed. She stormed out. Silence. Then his knock. Ben? You up? He slipped into my room, shadows pooling on his face. It's over. For real. Then he was on me. Kisses fierce. Hands roaming. Clothes shedding like old skin. We moved together, urgent and tender, his body yielding, trusting. In the afterglow, tangled in sheets, he whispered, I think I'm falling for you. My heart soared. But betrayal's shadow loomed, unseen. Winter gripped New York like a jealous lover, snow blanketing the streets in hush-white silence, turning our walks to class into slushy treks of shared scarves and gloved hands brushing. Xander and I were inseparable now, officially, unofficially, whatever. The bet? A joke we laughed about over hot cocoa at that 24-hour diner on Nostrand. Steam fogging the windows as we planned our first real date. Ice skating at Bryant Park. Because clichés are romantic when you're young and stupid in love. He was blooming. My Xander. Trading bro-night beers for poetry slams in the village. Blushing when I read him Ginsberg aloud in bed. His head in my lap. The homophobia vanished, replaced by quiet advocacy, shutting down Chad's barbs at parties, even coming out to his sister over FaceTime, her squeals of joy crackling through the speaker. You're brave as hell, I told him one night, tracing constellations on his bare chest as the radiator clanked like applause. But love's a fragile thing in the city that never sleeps, and cracks spiderwebbed faster than I could patch them. Finals week hit like a freight train, caffeine-fueled all-nighters blurring into dawn. Our apartment a war zone of textbooks and Red Bull cans. Xander's grades slipped, psych paper on identity crisis, ironic as fuck, and the pressure mounted. His dad called, voice booming through the phone. What the hell's this about you skipping the Hamptons? And who's this roommate turning your head? Xander hung up, face ashen, and we fought our first real fight. It's nothing, he insisted, but I saw the lie. Bullshit. You're ashamed. I'm not, he yelled, pacing, snow gusting against the window like accusations. It's just complicated. He's old school. Expects grandkids. The whole package. I grabbed his arm, desperate. Then tell him the truth. About us. He wrenched free, eyes wild. Us? Or the bet? What if this is all some experiment for you? Ben? Proving you could turn the straight guy. The words gutted me. Betrayal's first bitter taste. Fuck you, I whispered, storming out into the blizzard, the cold no match for the ice in my chest. We reconciled. Of course, raw apologies over greasy diner eggs. Him admitting his fear of losing the family safety net. Me vowing to fight harder. But the seed of doubt festered. Christmas loomed, and his invite to Connecticut dangled like mistletoe laced with hemlock. Come with, he pleaded, packing his duffel. Show 'em we're real. Against my gut, I agreed. What could go wrong? The Hale estate was straight out of a Ralph Lauren catalog. Manicured lawns dusted in frost. A stone mansion with roaring fireplaces and crystal decanters of scotch. Mr. Hale Sr. was a Wall Street wolf, broad-shouldered like his son but with eyes like steel traps. Mrs. Hale, elegant in cashmere, smiled too tightly. Dinner was a minefield. Polite probes about my art career, sidelong glances at our linked hands under the table. Then, post-Yule log, as carols crooned from hidden speakers. Xander's phone lit up. Chad, drunk dialing from a Manhattan bash. Dude. Spill. Did Benny's voodoo work? You batting for the other team now? Xander snatched it, fumbling to silence, but not before his dad overheard. The room froze. What's this nonsense? Hale Sr. demanded, voice thunder. Xander stammered, just frat bullshit, Dad, but I saw the unraveling. Later, in the guest room with its four-poster bed and heavy drapes, he broke. I can't do this here. Not yet. His kisses were frantic, apologetic, but hollow. We made love quietly, muffled gasps into pillows, but dawn brought the hammer. I woke to raised voices downstairs. Xander and his father in the study, door ajar. A bet? You let some queer kid wager on your soul like it's poker night. Hale Sr.'s roar echoed. I knew it. City's poisoned you. End it, Alexander. Or you're cut off. No tuition. No trust fund. Nothing. Silence. Then Xander's voice. Small. It's not like that. Then. He showed me who I am. A pause. Heavy as lead. Then choose. Son. Him or family. I slipped out before they saw me, heart shattering on the grand staircase, fleeing to the stables where horses nickered softly in the gray light. Xander found me there an hour later, coatless, shivering. Ben. Wait. But his eyes said it all, defeat. I need time, he choked out, tears freezing on his lashes. To fix this. Please. Betrayal bloomed full, hot and ugly. Time? Or an out? You gonna crawl back to Brittany? Play straight for Daddy's checkbook? He flinched, but didn't deny it. It's not that simple. I left that afternoon, train rattling back to the city. Brooklyn's grit a balm against the polished wound. Our apartment felt cavernous without him. His sneakers by the door, his cologne lingering like a ghost. Texts came sporadic. Miss you. Working on it. Then silence. Days blurred into a numb haze. Design gigs for indie bands, nights at dive bars nursing whiskeys and what-ifs. Chad cornered me at a New Year's Rager's, slurring. Heard Xander's back with Brit. Bets off. Fairy. Laughter from his cronies. But I punched him square. Knuckles splitting. Blood on the snow. Security tossed me out, but the catharsis lingered. January thawed the literal snow but not my frostbitten heart. Xander returned unannounced. Duffel thumping on the floor. Eyes hollowed. I'm done hiding, he said, dropping to his knees before me. Told Dad everything. He flipped, froze the accounts. But fuck it. I choose you. Relief crashed, and we collided, kisses salty with tears, bodies reclaiming lost ground. Felt like victory, but shadows whispered of storms ahead. Spring semester dawned with cherry blossoms dusting the East River paths, our runs turning flirtatious, hands swinging free. We were out, proudly, obnoxiously holding hands through Washington Square Park, stealing kisses at MoMA exhibits. But money troubles mounted. My freelance dried up, his barista gigs barely covered ramen. The bet specter returned when a lawyer's letter arrived, Hail Senior, demanding repayment of wasted tuition, citing the wager as fraud. $200,000. Or court. Panic set in. Xander spiraled, picking fights over nothing, his old armor creeping back. Maybe we crowdfund? Or, I don't know, sue Chad for starting it. But I saw the fracture. Resentment bubbling, not at his dad, but at me for dragging him into this authenticity that cost everything. One night, after a brutal shift, he snapped, "Was it worth it, Ben? Turning me into this broke, disowned fag." The slur landed like shrapnel. I recoiled. "You said it yourself. You chose this." "Did I?" He hurled back, voice breaking. "Or did you bet on my soul like I was some project?" The room spun, accusations flying like daggers. He stormed out, door slamming echo of that frat house night. Hours later, a text, "At Brittany's. Need space. Don't follow." Betrayal's knife twisted deeper. Was it all a lie? The kisses, the confessions, a phase. Daddy's money, the real anchor? I drowned in it, calling Theo for a pity fuck that left me emptier, sketching feverish portraits of Xander's face twisted in ecstasy and agony. Friends rallied, my queer crew from the theater scene, dragging me to drag brunches where glitter drowned the grief. But love's a stubborn weed, rooting deep. April showers turned Manhattan into a watercolor smear, umbrellas blooming like black tulips as I trudged to a freelance meetup in Midtown, portfolio clutched like a shield. Xander's absence stretched 2 weeks, radio silence broken only by a Venmo for half rent, curt as a business transaction. I'd scroll his Insta at 3 a.m., heart clenching at stories of him bartending at some upscale spot in the meatpacking district, all dimples and dry martinis for straights in suits. Brittany liked every post. Coincidence? Bullshit. The climax brewed slow, then erupted on a muggy Friday. My phone buzzed mid-sketch, rooftop. Now. X-pulse racing. I bolted up the fire escape, the city sprawl glittering like a promise or a trap. He was there, leaning on the ledge, cigarette dangling unlit from his lips, new habit, stress's cruel gift. Wind whipped his hair, jacket open to reveal the faded NYUT I'd bought him. "Ben," he started, voice rough. No preamble. I fucked up. We talked or yelled for hours, the skyline our indifferent witness. He confessed, crashing at Brittany's, not as lovers but refugees, her couch a limbo. She knows. About us. Said it'd blow over, that I was confused. His laugh was bitter. But I couldn't stop thinking of you. Every night, replaying that first kiss. The way you look at me like I'm enough. Tears tracked his cheeks, and I pulled him close, the hug fierce, bodies molding like they remembered. "Forgive me?" he murmured into my neck. I nodded, throat tight. "Always." We kissed then, slow, redemptive, hands mapping familiar territories under starless skies. Back inside, we made love like atonement. Unhurried, whispers of, "I love you," punctuating gasps. His body arching under mine, vulnerable and whole. Dawn found us entwined, plans hatching over coffee, joint bank account for the lawsuit, pride parade floats to march in solidarity. A future sketched in Sharpie on notebook paper. But betrayal's not a one and done. It's a hydra. 2 days later, as we prepped for a gallery opening, my designs on display at a Bushwick co-op, his phone chimed. He glanced, paled, and bolted to the bathroom. I followed, ear to the door. Dad, please. No, I can't just fix it. Ben's, cut off by a sob. Hale Sr. Again. Ultimatum reloaded, this time with a private investigator's report on the bet. Twisted into extortion. Xander emerged wrecked. He knows everything. Threatening to expose it. Ruin your career. Says if I come home, play straight, he'll drop it. Rage boiled. Let him. We'll fight. But doubt flickered in his eyes. Tired. Tempted. The gallery that night was a blur. Schmoozing collectors in my best button-down. Xander charming the room in chinos. His hand possessive on my lower back. Accolades flowed. Edgy work. Ben. Love the queer undertones. But undercurrents pulled. A tipsy curator cornered him. Heard you're the muse. Straight boy gone rogue? Scandalous. Xander's laugh rang false. Later, in the alley behind the venue, he lit that cigarette for real. What if I am the scandal, dragging you down? You're not, I insisted, stamping it out under my boot. But the seed took. May bloomed with exams and evaporating gigs, our fridge echoing empty. Xander picked up extra shifts, coming home reeking of gin and regret, collapsing into bed without a touch. Just tired, he'd mutter when I reached for him. Intimacy frayed, kisses turning pecs, nights side by side but worlds apart. I buried it in work, landing a gig illustrating a queer romance graphic novel, channeling our story into panels of longing glances and forbidden embraces. The breaking point came Memorial Day weekend, city exodus leaving Brooklyn a ghost town. We planned a staycation, Coney Island boardwalk, hot dogs and Ferris wheel confessions. But he bailed last minute. Family thing, vague as fog. Hours ticked, worry gnawed. Then, a ping. Brittany's Insta story, geotagged at a Hamptons beach house. Xander in the frame, arm around her, laughing with a beer in hand. Caption, reunited and it feels so good. Second chances, the world tilted. Betrayal, pure and venomous. I confronted him when he slunk in at midnight, sand still on his jeans. What the fuck? Xander, the photo on my phone. Damning. He deflated. Dad set it up. A reconciliation dinner. Britt was there, and it was easy. Familiar. No judgments. No broke-ass fights over bills. Easy. The word eviscerated. So I'm the hard part? The bet was the hook. And now you're out. No, he cried, grabbing my arms. I love you. Then. But this us, it's destroying everything. I went to think, and maybe we pause. For the lawsuit. Protect you. Pause. Code for escape. I shoved him back, chest heaving. You're a coward. Always were. That bet, it didn't turn you gay, it exposed the fraud. He recoiled as if slapped, but didn't fight. Just nodded, tears silent. Maybe you're right, he packed that night, duffel zipping like finality, leaving my hoodie on the bed, the one that still smelled like us. Grief hit like monsoon. Days in bed, curtains drawn, sketching his ghost until pencils snapped. Friends staged interventions. Drag Queen Kara with her fierce hugs, Theo offering rebounds I declined. He's not worth it, they said. But love doesn't logic out. Pride Month dawned, rainbows draping the city like defiant banners. I marched alone, sign reading love wins, even when it loses, chanting through tears as floats blared Gloria Gaynor. Then, the twist, a manila envelope, no return address. Inside, a check, $200,000, and signed note, call it even. For real this time. XH attached. A letter. Pages of scrawled confession. His handwriting shaky. I lied to myself longest. Went home. Played the part. But it choked me. Dad's money bought silence. Not peace. I'm getting help, therapy. Real shit. Space to become the man you saw in me. If you'll have me, wait. If not, know you saved me. Postmark, Connecticut. Temptation ward with wariness. I cashed the check, practicality over pride, depositing it into a new account. Our bet's ironic closure. Summer heat baked the streets. Fire hydrants spraying kids in sprays of joy I envied. I threw myself into the graphic novel. Deadline looming. Panels pulsing with our arc. Hook. Fall. Shatter. Maybe mend. August whispered second acts. A call from an unknown number. Xander. Voice steadied by months of work. I'm back in the city. Clean. Sober from the denial. Can we talk? Cafe on the corner. Neutral ground. He looked older, lines etched, but eyes clear. Alive. I betrayed you, he started. No bullshit. For fear. But losing you taught me love's the only bet worth taking. I listened. Walls cracking. Prove it, I challenged. Not with words, with time. Fall foliage painted Central Park in fire-kissed hues, crunching under our tentative steps as we tested this fragile restart. Xander had sublet a studio in Harlem boundaries. He called it commuting for coffee dates that stretched into evenings at jazz dives. Saxophones wailing our unspoken elegy. No bets. No ultimatums. Just therapy printouts shared over falafel. His vulnerability a bridge I crossed gingerly. I gaslight myself, he'd admit, fingers tracing mine across checkered tables. Blamed you for the mirror. My graphic novel dropped in September. A quiet splash in queer-lit circles. Reviews praising the raw humanity of redemption's ache. Xander bought 10 copies. Dog-earing pages where our shadows lurked. Sales trickled. Enough for a down payment on a one-bedroom in Crown Heights. Neutral territory. He moved in November 1st. Boxes labeled kitchen, no breakables. A nod to our history's shards. That night, unpacking amid pizza boxes, he knelt by the window, ring box in hand, not diamond, but a simple silver band etched with Trojan hearts. No grand gestures. Just forever, if you'll bet on me. Tears blurred as I slipped it on, our kiss sealing vows unspoken. Life settled into rhythm. His barista gig evolving to bar manager. Tips funding weekend getaways to the Catskills. My illustrations blooming into a steady column for Out magazine. Essays on love's quiet rebellions. Conflicts lingered. Hail Senior's Christmas card. Stiff and unsigned. Chad's unfriending spree. Petty as confetti, but we faced them braced. Backs to each other like warriors. Climax revisited in spring. Pride's electric hum calling us back to the streets. Xander's dad showed, uninvited, suit crisp amid the glitter, cornering us by the stone wall inn, face thunderous. This ends now, Alexander. I've got a job lined up in London, fresh start. With her, Brittany, hovering like a specter, eyes pleading. The crowd surged. Chance of love is love, a defiant chorus. Xander straightened, hand firm in mine. No, Dad. This is my start. Ben's my family. Walk away, or join the parade. Hale Sr. faltered, steel cracking to glimpse the sun he'd forged, and lost. You're throwing it all, but Xander cut him. I was throwing myself away. Not anymore. Silence stretched. Then a nod, begrudging, but real. Call your mother sometime. He left, Brittany trailing, the weight lifting like fog burned by sun. We danced then, lost in the throng, bodies slick with sweat and triumph. His lips on my neck whispering. We won. Betrayal's echo faded, not erased but honored, a scar lending depth. We adopted a rescue mutt, Rufus, who slobbered on Xander's sneakers and curled between us on stormy nights. Anniversaries marked not the bet, but the rooftop realignment, candlelit dinners with toasts to growth. Humanistic grace wove through, volunteering at the Ollie Forney Center, mentoring queer kids fleeing homes like mine once did. Xander's stories of repression a beacon. You didn't turn me, he'd say, arm around my waist as we strolled the High Line at dusk. You woke me, years blurred. My novel's adaptation into an indie film, his MBA night classes yielding a nonprofit gig for LGBTQ+ youth. We bought rings, real ones, in a Provincetown ceremony, ocean crashing like applause, vows vowing resilience over perfection. Hale Sr. came, grizzled but thawing, toasting with shaky hands. To bets that pay off. Looking back, that frat house pop was Genesis, a gunshot birthing not conquest, but communion. In America's vast, flawed tapestry, where love fights for air amid billboards and bylaws, we thrived, two men, remade by rupture, bound by the humanistic truth that hearts, once cracked open, beat louder. And in quiet moments, Rufus snoring, city lights winking, we knew. Forever wasn't a gamble, but a grace we'd earned, one forgiven betrayal at a time. Epilogue whispers. On our 5th anniversary, rooftop redux, champagne cork popping soft as memory. Xander pulls me close, eyes that piercing blue. Worth every penny, I laugh, kissing him deep. Priceless, golden boy, below, New York pulses, eternal, unforgiving, ours.